This is Stephanie with Hightower Stitching. Today I want to share with you the progress I've made on sewing that fantastic antique yo-yo quilt to a coverlet. When I started on this project, I laid it out on the floor, the coverlet, the white part on the bottom, and then laid the antique quilt on top of it to see if I had it in the right position, and if I didn't, then moved it up and down or even turned it so it would look right on there. And this one, the antique quilt, was so large that it actually went from edge to edge, and one edge I actually had one row of 25 blocks each that I was able to take off, and we're going to use that to make two shams, pillow shams. Once I got it positioned on the floor, I took some safety pins and just pinned in a couple of places to just to anchor till then I picked it up again. And this one had to move into the dining room table. And I am using the dining room table and all of the chairs to make this comfortable enough to get it. And you can see down on the end, I've got it rolled up. I have finished half of it. And when I started out, I said, I've just got to see if this can be done because it's bigger than the other one that I had done. And it was a different type of material. And I had also found that I needed to let the weight be held on the chairs because the yo-yos, being old, this one was very well constructed, but they would pull from the stress. So I have it rolled up on the end where I'm not yet till I get to that part. And I'm actually starting now on the last half. The first half of the quilt took about 45 hours of stitching, and I would just stitch halfway across, and then I'd start back and do another row across. And that way, because I couldn't have the whole thing open on the table at the same time. The other thing I did was I set all three of the dining room chairs against the side where that I was working on. And you can see my pillow even. And I start on the edge like where this rest pillow is. And I would work towards the center. And I would just move myself from one chair to the next, and that made it easy, and it won't hurt my carpet either, moving the chair over and over. I found that two colors work really well on this. One of them is a silver gray, or a gray color. There's a light one and a medium one. They both work. And then I had two that were a creamy color or a creamy yellow, and they've worked very well. And what I did was I was going to do those with single threads. So I pulled on those to check how strong they were, and they were really good. So I've been able to do single thread, and that's really nice when you get some really fragile pieces. It doesn't pull on them like a heavy thread would do. So when I get ready to start a row, I have a nice long thread. It's usually longer than this. And I come under the yo-yo, and usually I go into the coverlet. This time I went into yo-yo, but I go into the coverlet and I tie a knot about 4 times because I know that's not going to come out. And then when I'm ready, I'll lay that yo-yo back down, and I come and start by going from the coverlet up into the yo-yo. And then I turn my hand like this way, because I'm going to tell you this, I didn't tell you. I'm going to go across the top of the yo-yo only. I've already done the bottom, and I don't go all the way around. And so now I'm going back, and I do smaller stitches than that when I'm sitting there. Get a very nice stitch. Gently pull it, don't not pull it hard. And then what I found is that I would get to some of the yo-yo joinings. This one's in pretty good shape, but some of them would be real weak. And so I would run my thread under where that was to reinforce it. I've got a pin. And then I do it again. And then I'd be ready to do the next half. So my pin needle would go in, pick up a small amount, pull it, and keep going. And I would go that all the way down. On this time I'll go on the top down to the middle. And it catches really good, but I was careful. I didn't want to catch great big hunks of the yo-yo, just enough to secure it in place. Now I'm going to go all the way down to the middle, and when I get down there, I'm going to fold back one of the yo-yos again, and I'm going to go down in there, and I'm going to tie it off again. So I'm going to pull it up. Well, I'm going to pull it up all the way, and then start it through again. And you'll see I've got a loop and a long edge. And I'm just going to tie that like I did at the beginning. I'm going to take and tie it once, twice, one more time, and then I'm ready to cut it off and then come back and start on the next edge. The nice thing about working in the dining room was that when I'd get to one of the edges and it would want to slide, it would be so heavy on one end, I just grabbed some of the plates out of the cabinet and laid those on there, and you can see I've got one left. And then I have just a plain old bag and throw the ends of the thread in there so I don't have pieces laying all over. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful antique quilt, because it's a joy to work on, and maybe you won't ever have such a project this big, but might give you an idea on how to hook those yo-yos down. Thank you for watching. Any notes that I have will be added to the description. If this was helpful, or you enjoyed it and you learned anything, or you just like seeing the antique quilt, just let me know. Thank you.